Once you have set up a scene that you like, you can then record that into a cue. Cues can be recorded onto any of the 240 playbacks or the master playback. There's nothing special or different about the master playback compared to the others, apart from that it is always there no matter what page your multifunctional faders are on. It also has the double width go button and a dedicated pause button. To record a cue, set up the lighting state that you want and then simply type record, enter. We suggest viewing the programmer's desktop on the external monitor so you can see the playback window in the bottom half here. Or if you do not have an external monitor, just tap the view button and it will appear on the internal monitor. If it shows you the Playback Summary window, just tap view again and it will switch back to the playback window. In this window, we can see the cue we have just recorded, and we can see that it's in playback 1, which is over here. To create a second cue, we just change the lighting, and then we press record, enter again. Flex now pops up saying that a cue has already been recorded into that playback, and it gives us a few options, including an option to overwrite what was there, or maybe cancel because we made a mistake. However, we're going to choose create second cue. You can now see that this has been recorded as a second cue, which is displayed on this second line. We'll quickly change the lighting again and record a third cue by pressing record, enter. Notice how the console does not give me the option again because it knows we're recording several cues onto a single playback. We can now raise the fader for playback 1 to full. This will show us the first cue on that playback. When playing back the cues, we suggest to ensure that there are no unrecorded commands still left in the command line. You can achieve this by pressing the clear button twice to remove anything that might still be there. To output the next cue we have recorded, we simply press the go button under the playback. Each time we press it, the console will continue down the list, one cue at a time. The green bar shows you the currently active cue, while the yellow bar highlights the next cue that's going to happen when you press go. You can change which cue is next by simply selecting it using either the touchscreen or the arrow keys. Once it's selected, press the go button and that cue will now be outputted, and you can see that it is now shown in green in the window. Currently, these cues are using the default fade times, which can be changed within the setup. Cue 1 has a default of 0 seconds and all the other cues have a default of 3 seconds. But any of these times can be altered now that we've recorded them. It's a similar format to a spreadsheet on a computer. Each fade time is in a separate cell, and we simply choose the cell we want to change using either the touchscreen or the arrow keys, press enter, type the new fade time, and press enter to confirm. Now when we play back the cues, they will use their new fade times, and we can see that happening live on the fade bars along the bottom of the screen. The last column here is the cue settings. In the same way as the fade times, we just select that cell and press enter. This opens a window which allows us to change various settings about that cue, including what triggers it, which is currently the go button, but there are other options in there. The next option allows you to jump to a specific cue after this cue, rather than just the next one. We can click OK to confirm these changes. We also can name cues, which is helpful in remembering what changes in that cue or when the cue happens. To name a cue, such as cue 2, we just type name to enter. And now we just type the name we want to give it, either on the on-screen keyboard or on an external keyboard, and then press enter to confirm. Record enter always records the next available cue into the playback. So typing it now would record cue 4, because we already have cues 1, 2 and 3. However, we may want to define which cue we want to record, as maybe we want to leave a gap to come back to later, or we want to fit a cue in between some of the cues we've already recorded. In this situation, we just type record 8 to enter or record 2.5 enter. A cue 2.5 is a normal cue, but it fits in between cues 2 and 3. We can go up to 2 decimal places, so there's room for 99 cues between each full cue number. Once you have finished playing back cues, it is important to release the playback. This turns it off, stopping it having any further control over the channels. When you lower a fader, this automatically happens, but you can also manually do this by pressing clear and pressing the Playbacks button. Let's now record cues onto another playback. Just hold the view and then tap the button of the playback we wish to view. This could be any of the 24 multifunction faders or the Master Go button. We can now see that we have a fresh set of cues in the playback window, and record enter or record 5 enter will now record into that playback instead. Alternatively, we can record onto a playback we're not currently viewing by typing record and then pressing the button of the playback we want to record the cue to. Just like before, we can define a cue number 2. So record 5 to there will record a cue 5 onto that specific playback. We can even press record and then tap one of the UDKs to record that lighting state onto that user definable key. Pressing view will switch to the Playback Summaries window. In this window, each row is a different playback, so the master playback along the top and then the 24 playbacks of the current page below that. The columns show the playback's name and the information about the currently active cue within each playback. You could update any of these values directly within the window in exactly the same way as the other window. Simply press view to switch back to the previous window. To make a change to a cue you've already recorded, simply output that cue, make the changes you want, and then press update enter. The cue will inherit the new information and the update will be complete. Just like record, you can update a completely different cue by typing update 3 enter or update 5 to there, even though we're not currently viewing that stack. Deleting a cue is very similar. We just type delete enter to delete the current cue of the playback we're viewing, or delete 5 enter to delete specifically cue 5. Delete 5 and then selecting the playback will delete cue 5 of that playback. If we don't define a cue and we just press delete and press the button, it will delete the whole playback. So that's all the cues you've stored within it. There are lots of settings available for cue stacks. Just like we press and hold view and tap the playback button to view it, we press and hold setup and press the playback button to view the settings window. There are 4 tabs along the top: general, chase, trigger, and move on dark. Make the changes you want and then press OK to confirm. We can also get to the UDK settings in the same way. Hold setup and press the UDK. Here we can add in some fade times and make it a latching button instead of a flash button, and then we can click OK. Now when I press the UDK, the lights fade up instead of flashing. When I press it again, they'll fade back down.